Good afternoon, everyone. One of the beauty of doing this in person is that I get to see all of you. Very familiar faces, customers, partners, of course, our own employees. It's really wonderful to do this in person, and I appreciate those of you who've joined in online also. But there's another thing that's great about doing this in person, right? As a speaker, imagine sitting in front of a screen and making a speech. You don't know what the reaction is on the other side. Now, when I look at all of you, I can see your reaction. And I can tell whether, am I talking sense? Am I making it interesting? Or am I making it too boring, which after the great lunch that Shailendra has fed all of us, allows you to kind of doze off. So I hope I can keep it a little interesting. I know it's a very difficult time of the day. After the lunch, in the afternoon, air-conditioned environment, all perfect, and dim lights, dangerous situation. So let me start again. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. This is what makes me going for this presentation. Okay, let me now talk about tech trends. No surprises in here. In fact, my good friend Sumir, along with the infrastructure group of Lenovo, did a study with CIOs in partnership with IDC, and there is a CIO playbook. If you haven't got your copy, please reach out to our teams, get the copy. We talk to CIOs, many of you are here in the room, on what do you see impacting the future. So there are a few tech trends that we believe at Lenovo will really shape the way technology pans out. 5G. Now 5G is not just a step up from 2G to 3G to 4G. It is a massive, massive step up. We have almost, maybe 100x, and in fact, there is possibility of even more speeds compared to 4G. Now, what this means is that the ability for data to move from, as we talk about pocket to the cloud, is immense. It can happen in real time. The ability to capture data at the edge. I'm sure many of you are wearing your fitness bands, right? That's a fad these days. In fact, most of us end up wearing one watch and one fitness band. I'm looking at Sumir here, who does it all the time, right? But the data from here can actually go in and give you instant feedback. Now these devices are being used to monitor health, especially of elderly and senior citizens. It changes the paradigm of health, how health can be delivered, how businesses can be run. So going with the 5G infrastructure is the edge infrastructure. How do you capture data at the edge? And then leverage this 5G to transport data fast, quickly, so that we can into the cloud, so that we can quickly capture what's happening at the front end. So that's where the cloud comes in. And when we talk about cloud, traditionally we've talked about cloud as, I think when cloud came in, it was mostly on-prem, and then it shifted dramatically to public cloud. And now we are seeing cloud repatriation, as the new terminology says, of how people are now realizing that public cloud is not free. It does come at a cost. And we can't just store all the data in there. We need to have a hybrid solution with on-prem solution and maybe a public cloud solution. So as you collect this data from the front end, as you bring it into the infrastructure on a public cloud or a private cloud, you need to then run the intelligence or the artificial intelligence or the analytics around this data. Take the data, run the analytics, and use that information that you get from the data to actually take a decision. It could be a business decision. It could be a health decision. It could be an education decision. And it could happen at very different part from where the data is being collected. So, for example, in a retail environment, right? You talk about smart shelves. Can inventory information get fed instantly if one particular item is missing or going out of stock, quickly gets into the supplier and you're able to immediately replenish. Gone are the days when somebody used to go with a book and try and analyze whether the stocks are available or not. So run this whole artificial intelligence. Now, as we do that, there are two other key trends we need to keep in place. One is sustainability. And sustainability is not about today. It is actually about the future. It is about how can we leave the world a better place for our future generations. And we all in this room have a responsibility to do that. I'll talk a little bit about what Lenovo is doing in sustainability, but every one of us should play a role and should think about how can we leave this world a better place. And there's a lot of effort that we have to put in sustainability. And the other big trend is, of course, the metaverse. Metaverse is bringing this whole virtual world and the real world a lot closer than what it has ever been. And then the ability to actually marry those worlds. Traditionally, technology, cloud has been a back end. Metaverse actually brings that back end and the front end and the physical world together. For example, if you are able to create a situation where a customer is actually able to do shopping in a virtual world, but I might actually be doing it in a way that it makes them feel that it's real. Maybe where you can do training for employees, where it feels as if they are repairing a real thing, but actually they are repairing in a virtual world. And maybe when you marry it with the real world, where you're able to take the training with somebody at the real place, where they may be repairing an aircraft engine, and telling the person what to do with somebody on a virtual connection. So it actually suddenly throws up possibilities in the way we build solutions, build infrastructure, build capability, whether it's business, but also for many other applications. So we believe these are the key tech trends that will shape the future. And this leads to this evolution of the new architecture or architecture of new IT, right? And it's exactly what I just described to you. A client or an edge, a device. I mean, it could be as simple as your phone. It could be your health monitor or the device. Goes over the network, 5G in most cases, and through the network to the cloud, and running an intelligent information solutioning system on top of that architecture. And this, we believe, is how technology will evolve and start building up, both for a business, but also in a way that we are able to deliver solutions for individuals. What is Lenovo's role or our vision in enabling this intelligent or digital transformation? We have what we internally refer to as our 3S strategy, and Shailendra talked a little bit about it. The first piece is, of course, we are well known for our products, right? And we are very proud of our products. We will continue to innovate. We will continue to drive great technology. You should visit the showcase. There's some, for example, a rollable screen. Now, it's a concept. We don't know what will be the application out of it, but it suddenly throws up possibilities that might be different from where we are today, right? So we will continue to invest and create great devices, whether it's phones, whether it's Internet of Things, whether it's PCs. We will create a completely a new and sustainable set of devices and solutions for this intelligent transformation. We are a very large infrastructure player. An infrastructure, I'm talking in the broad sense. It could be servers, it could be storage, it could be solutions around it, it could be intelligence around the infrastructure, it could be software defined. How do we will continue to innovate, to drive and build new technology and capabilities with our smart infrastructure solutions. Finally, it's about smart verticals and smart solutions. How do you now put all of this together to build solutions that are required, be it be smart manufacturing, be it be smart education, smart healthcare? There are various ways in which you can put all of this together. And as Lenovo, we are trying to bring in solutions, work with partners to actually build this together. Now, obviously, we don't say that we will do everything ourselves. This is a lot in partnership with many players, whether it's genomic solutions that we've built with Intel. We are working with other partners, Accenture, Deloitte, HCL locally, to be able to bring these solutions to our customers. And that's kind of our innovation vision. If you could excuse me. By the way, this is the disadvantage of doing it face-to-face. If I were in a virtual world, I can say, pause the recording, take some water, and start the recording again. Unfortunately, here I can't pause the recording. So you'll have to see me live drink. Many of you might be surprised to learn, we are well known as a PC company. In fact, just 2 quarters back, we reported that 37% of our business comes from non-PC, right? Which for a $60-70 billion company is a very large amount of business. Actually, last quarter, the 37% became 41%. So we are growing much faster. Almost half our business very soon is going to come from non-PC. And so some of these innovations around infrastructure, solutions, and services is actually translating to good business results. But one of the commitments we have is to R&D. And my friend shared with me this data point. Out of 75,000 employees, we have 70,000 employees, we have 15,000 is actually engineers. And we have gone on record that we are hiring another 12,000 engineers. So almost 30% of our workforce is going to be focusing on R&D. And that's our commitment. That's what we would like to bring. And I'm delighted, as Shailendra pointed out, that many of pieces of this R&D is actually happening in India as we speak today. It's happening on phones. It's going to happen on servers. We are building a network operating center, supporting our customers, a worldwide NOC in Bangalore. There is a lot of effort where India, Lenovo is contributing to Lenovo's innovation vision around the world. Before I come to the last part of I wanted to reiterate our commitment on sustainability. As a company, we have committed to net zero by 2050, science-based targets based on Science-Based Targets Initiative. But it's not just about 2050. 2050 may seem a little far out. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. We manufacture millions of devices every quarter. So it's also about what do we do in the short term. So just to give you an idea, for example, by 2025, 100% of our PCs will use recycled content, material from our customers. And it will be plastic free. So in fact, we have innovated on bamboo-based packaging. We've actually innovated on, covers on sleeves on the laptop, which are actually made from natural fiber. So there is a lot of innovation going on how to truly build sustainable products that would actually add to our credibility and towards this net zero goal. We are also going to be repairing 3 out of 4 parts that come to our repair center and reuse them. So recycle the products. So we are taking sustainability very seriously. It is something that I'm personally passionate about. And I can tell you the amount of work that we're doing is great. There's some really great stuff out there. And I hope that we can come and talk to you and share with you just our plans. In fact, many of our customers, after we shared the plans, got so interested saying, why don't you tell us or guide us on what we can do? So we're actually trying to now build a small little consulting team that can actually tell customers what we're doing. Because obviously it's a challenge for a $60 billion company to build sustainability is tremendous. We work with our customers on asset recovery and carbon offsets, but we are very happy to share this knowledge base with you. Shailendra talked about India's decade. Now, I talked about the global trends. I talked about what we're doing globally. What does this mean for India? And how do I see it? Shailendra talked about how we are becoming the office, not just from the office of the world, to the factory of the world, to the R&D center of the world. I see this whole technology, this whole new IT architecture, intelligent transformation, driving great opportunity. And I look at it in 4 different buckets. First is India for India, where all of you as CIOs take this technology, apply it to your business, apply it to your day-to-day, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's education, whether it's retail, healthcare. These technologies can enable a higher level of effectiveness and efficiency. The pandemic has definitely taught us that technology is a must. It's not a nice to do thing. So you should look at how can you use this and leverage these new technologies and make your businesses a lot more efficient. And I'm sure that is something that you would want to learn more, and we are happy to share more. But that's, of course, the most obvious part. The other part is India for Bharat. How can we use this technology to take this and bridge some of the gaps that we have in terms of the last mile access in our country. We are a large country, we are a complex country, and we do need to be able to reach, of course, education is a basic thing. Healthcare is a basic thing. There is a lot of innovation possible here, and many of you in this room have capability, knowledge to be able to innovate. We can give the tools, we can give the structure, but I think the innovation and thought needs to come from all of us. How can we together innovate and build on this technology so that we can drive this and make it for the rest of the population who might not have that level of access? Of course, India for the world. And I think the government is doing a fantastic job in building the pipeline towards making this happen. Whether it is Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, I think the programs and the thought process and the leadership thought process on many, including sustainability, including edge, including IoT, is really applaud-worthy. I think the government is setting the base, but we as industry now need to take that framework and be able to work together. And finally, I still will do a call out, a shout out to sustainable innovation. That whatever we do, we need to keep in mind that we need to make this world and leave this world a better place for our future. But more than me talking about what we can do or what India should do for next decade, it's my absolute pleasure to bring on stage the next speaker, someone who's been the architect of Startup India, Make in India, the award-winning Incredible India, and something that's very close to me, the country or the part of India that I come from, God's Own Country campaign, who now has been the CEO of Niti Aayog, has been secretary at DIPP, but now has a very important role as India takes on the presidency of G20. He's the Sherpa for the G20 program. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together and please welcome Mr. Amitabh Kant.